Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host here on the show. And today we have Andy McLoughlin, Managing Director of IT Transport Limited, as our guest. I'm so excited to dive into his story, his journey to business ownership, and what it really takes to own and operate a business. And so, if this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Andy. It's so great to have you on the show today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me. Much appreciated. Looking forward to hearing your questions.
Of course. Well, let's start off. Share a little bit about yourself and a brief about your business.
Oh, about me. Well, so I'm in the West Midlands now in Wolverhampton, which is where we're headquartered. But I actually grew up a little further north in Liverpool, northwest England. And I moved to this part of the region 13 years ago to do a master's degree. And I've been here ever since. Our company here, IT Transport Limited, despite contrary beliefs, IT for us means intermediate technology, not information technology. So intermediate technology transport, we've been trading since 1979. We have our 45th birthday in 3 days, and our business is primarily around providing consultancy advice as relates to transport infrastructure in developing countries.
Oh, that is incredible. Well, um, I'm really excited to kind of dive in a little deeper. So when did you acquire the business, or how did you become the managing director?
Yes, so around 3.5 years ago, well, actually, it's nearly 4 years now. The previous owners were looking to sell the company due to a downturn in business. One of the main reasons for the downturn in business was, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. With
Mm.
all of our work being overseas, it demanded overseas travel. So if you can't travel, then you have no business. So at the time, myself and two of the senior employees were already with the business by that time for 6 years. And we decided to chat to the owners and see if they would sell. The owner was a multinational. We had a rather protracted negotiation, at the end of which we agreed a sale price, signed the paperwork, and we've been running the company ever since.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I'm excited to kind of dive into what you've done with the company since then. So what are some of the things you did to, build it back up and, grow it?
Well, the first thing we did was look at what our overheads and our costs were. When we were working for the company under the ownership of the multinational, it's actually headquartered in Westminster in London, which is one of the most expensive postcodes in the UK. We didn't feel we needed to be there anymore, so we left and came up to the West Midlands, which is a far more affordable location to work.
Mhm.
The next thing we did is we started to look at our staff. Now, at the time, we only had one member of staff left and the directors. So when we started recruiting staff directly in the countries we operate in. And that had two big impacts. Firstly, um, offshoring some of these roles has saved us a lot of money. But secondly, we now have people directly working in the countries where our main customers are based. Those were the initial two things. The third
Mhm.
thing we went on and did was look at how we do business and how the company's done business historically, and then looked into how can we change things through the gears a little bit and
Mhm.
go after business in a new direction.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. It's like to see how you've transformed the company to what it is now. Now, looking at that staff in other countries, now, what were some of the challenges you faced with hiring the local staff?
Well, all the staff we've actually hired up until quite recently, we'd already worked with them. So they were also employed by the parent organization. So the parent organization shed a lot of staff. We picked up some of those staff. And then after 2 years, of owning the company, we were allowed to approach staff directly who we wanted to employ, and they actually left the previous owners and came to our company. Um, we've only recruited one person so far that never worked for the previous company, and I can tell you the challenges associated with trying to bring them into the culture, and with them working remotely and having not done consultancy before has been really challenging at times.
Yeah, what are some of the challenges you faced with that?
Well, when people tend to join a company, they're carrying all their experiences from other places they've worked. Um, Often those experiences are not great. There's definitely an element of younger staff feeling that they shouldn't speak up, they shouldn't challenge the boss, they shouldn't
Mhm.
give their opinion. And we don't really operate like that within our company because, frankly, the challenges we face are pretty dynamic and we need everybody's opinion
Mm.
on every challenge we face in order to reach the right solution.
Okay. So what are some of the things you're doing to kind of remedy that with employees?
Well, one of the things we did fairly recently was we developed the company's first ever strategy documents. And within that, we laid out in detail um, how people are expected to contribute to the company. And I sent it round to the staff for feedback, and I got zero replies. So I decided the next thing, okay, well, either they don't want to tell me what they think or they haven't read it. So I bundled the whole thing into an interactive PowerPoint and we did a half day online workshop with it, by the end of which I felt I'd got the message across. And then the way we've been working ever since has been a lot more collaborative as people are no longer afraid to speak up, give their opinion, and even challenge the directors if they don't agree with something.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing about that. I'd like to kind of dive into your why as well. So I know you started within the company. What gave you that spark, or what gave you that, like, did you just know that you were meant to become the managing director, or how did that all play out?
Oh, well, I ended up being a sort of default accidental choice, strangely enough. So when the previous owners, not even the previous owners, the owners before the previous owners sold the company to the multinational,
Hmm.
um, they were basically selling up because they wanted their pension money, if I can put it that way. So
Hmm.
one of those directors took over the company and had a bit of a falling out with the new owners. And then they brought in somebody else to take over the leadership of the company. And I had a meeting with all the management and said, I just want to do my engineering stuff. I'm really not interested in managing the company. And then he wasn't performing. And then the vice president of the division came from the US, had a meeting with me and said, we're restructuring, we're letting XY person go, and you're going to start leading the business unit. And I thought, oh my God. And that's just how it happened. I was literally the next in line to the throne, if you want to put it that way. And I survived in that framework of working within a multinational, if I can put it that way, uh,
Wow.
and kept the company profitable. And that was the trick, really, making
Mhm.
sure that I didn't overpromise and underdeliver. I actually more underpromised than overdelivered. So that was a deliberate strategy, basically to keep myself in the job, but it worked.
That's a key to success right there for sure. Oh, that's incredible. So now looking at your staff, looking at the company, how many staff members do you have in total now?
We've got 8 full-time, and we work with about 50 associate consultants on a project by project basis. We bring them in, depending on the work we've won, and employ them for the duration of that project.
Okay, that's wonderful. And now you're in multiple countries. Are you looking to expand into more countries, or what are you like kind of what are you looking to do in the next 3 to 5 years with the company?
So we're always interested in looking at new markets,
Mhm.
but they're more challenging to get into than markets where we already have a strong footprint. And the
Mhm.
reason for that is when you bid for work in our industry, you're very often scored against your previous experience. So it's that whole chicken and egg thing. So
Hmm.
in the countries where we have a strong footprint, we're trying to expand the type of services we offer in that particular country. But also, if opportunities come up in an area that we're very strong in technically, we're quite likely to bid in those countries as well. We don't tend to bid for things where either we don't have a strong footprint already or we're not strong technically. If it's not one of those two areas, we know we're pretty much wasting our time.
Okay, so you have sort of a protocol that you look at or a system you look at for.
Yeah, we have a sort
Yes.
of a mathematical equation based on a spreadsheet of, region multiplied by competence. And if the score's above 20, we go for it.
Oh, definitely. Well, that is incredible to hear too. And like looking at your marketing structure around your company to put yourself out there, are you using marketing tools or are you focused on obviously like more like a business to business model, but like how do you integrate your marketing into that?
Well, historically, in our line of work, the way work is won is by sitting around and waiting for the next tender to drop
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
various clients. So that's always been the core business of the company. But what we've started doing in the recent past, I mean, you have to remember we've had a big debt to pay off to the previous ownership, which we have.
Mhm.
We're now
Mhm.
starting to market more proactively. So we're now at the position where we can go to clients and say, what are your needs? Or in some cases, we know what your needs are. We believe we can resolve them. If you give us the opportunity to help resolve your challenges, we'll also work with you to help you get the finance you need in order to meet those challenges. So that's been our new business model, far more on the front foot, far more proactive, far more going out there and speaking directly to clients. What are your problems? We'll help you fix them. That's been our new strategy, really.
Oh, well, definitely. Well, this has been such a great conversation. It's been incredible learning about your business and how you're growing it and how you're continuing to find success. And now I'd like to dive into a fun part of the conversation called our rapid
Okay.
fire section, where I ask you four questions, you answer very top of mind. Are you ready
Okay.
for some rapid fire?
Well, I don't know how to take that comment if it's coming from Texas, but go for your rapid fire and we'll see how we go.
Yes. Okay. First question is, what is the key to success for you?
Attitude, no doubt about
Mhm.
it. Maintaining a positive attitude, hanging in there, and persevering. I mean, they all sound like cliches, and on paper, they sound so simple, but you would be amazed at just how many people lack the ability to hang in there, to keep going, keep believing in themselves, keep pushing through, um, and to keep a positive attitude. It sounds simple, but there's very few people I find can really truly do it over the long term.
Oh, that what you say is so true. That is so true. And it's very much, I always say too, cliches exist for a reason because
Mm,
a lot of truth behind them. So that's really attitude is everything. That's
mm,
powerful.
mm.
And number two is what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh, don't give up. Just hang in there. If it's come to bear at some point, it will come to pass. Just
Mhm.
hang in there until the storm has passed and
Mhm.
keep believing in yourself. You're obviously a business owner because you believed in yourself and you had something to offer. Don't get blown off course. Listen to people's advice, take it on board, but don't get blown off course. And just really have the faith in your own judgments because that got you where you are today.
Definitely agree with that too. Third question is what is a book or piece of content, could be a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
A book I've taken in most recently. Well, I'm actually reading Tender is the Night by Fitzgerald. I don't think that's the sort of book we should really be talking about on a podcast. Recent experience, learning. Well, actually, I can tell you about some training I had that I revisit frequently. So, more than 20 years ago, I was fortunate enough that a management consultant and I was friends with his son, took mercy on me and let me sit on his course about how to be successful through maintaining a positive attitude. I still have the details from that course. I still have they gave me like, I don't even know what you call it, the thing that sits on your desk. I still have that on my desk 24 years later. And I think that probably that course set me up probably for the rest of my life. So it had a huge impact on me when I was 20. I'm what, 44 now. It's still having the same impact now.
That's incredible. That is super cool. And our final question is if you could wave a magic wand and overnight like rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oof, if I could rapidly improve it overnight with a magic wand, it would be to just make things happen more quickly. Tender
Mm,
processes are so slow. Implementation is so slow. You know, a lot of the work we do, I think, is very important. So we're coming up with things like developing national road safety strategies in countries that have terrible, terrible issues with road crashes. And it's the speed of procurement, the speed of implementation. You know, you do frequently think, let's, go a bit faster. Every day we go faster is, a day when, we're going to have a better impact on people's outcomes. So yeah, probably just the slow pace that operates in the international development sector would be my biggest pain point and the thing I would
mm,
like to change the most.
definitely. Well, thank you for sharing those rapid fire
Mm.
answers. And before we get into our final question for today, how can people find you?
Well, they just go to the website www.ittransport, which is all one word, .co.uk. And yeah, you'll find our contact details on there or find me on LinkedIn. Or, if you're in an airport and you spot me, don't be afraid to say hi.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. For our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
Most inspiring to me today, it's really the unsung heroes that come across in the countries I work in. So we have lots of people out there working for NGOs, people working not for money, and they don't have a lot anyway.
Mhm.
Just literally doing almost completely altruistic work for no return, no pat on the back,
Mm.
no money. That's what inspires me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your wise words today and sharing a brief about your business. It's
Thank you.
been a joy to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I've been called a joy before, but I'll take it.